What's going on, guys? UFC 301 reactions. We got a lot of other stuff going on as well. See, we already got some people in here. Appreciate that. Guys, the channel has been growing fast lately. I really appreciate it. We have memberships available now if you feel like you want to financially support the channel. It's $5 a month. You'll get access to members only live streams. Still, all the regular videos, everything like that, are obviously just going to be for free on the channel. Nothing's going to, nothing's going to change there. Also, I did just put up my fights to make after UFC 301 video. Let me go ahead and put that up for you guys. Somebody even commented first on my video, which is pretty sick. Have I made it now? All right, guys, here's the link to the fights to see we need to see after UFC 301. And you know, what do you guys think? What do we think about the event for 301? Honestly, had a little bit of a come down after 300, which kind of sucks, you know, but we're back at it. We're back at it. Let me do a little audio test for you. I just like checking things to make sure you guys are getting the good experience. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Just gonna let the chat get going for a little. Yeah, but the UFC 300 come down was definitely real because I was definitely not as excited as I was for 300. Obviously not the best pay-per-view compared to 300 or compared to anything we've seen recently. Honestly, going back to, let me see, 298 was fire, 299 was insane, 300 was insane. All right, I was just doing a little stream health check, but yeah, 299 was crazy. 300 was obviously the best event we've ever had. And even going back to the end of last year, 296 was a banger card, a little bit of a sleeper main event, Leon and Colby. And what else? 295, Madison Square Garden, sick. 294 in Abu Dhabi, seeing Volk get knocked out, kind of crushing my soul, but especially 298. Dude, Volk getting KO'd twice in 4 months, 3 months. Devastating. Absolutely devastating. But we'll get into the reactions to each fight on UFC 301 real quick in just a minute. Yes, Erceg did not get robbed. Glad that it worked. So, anyways, all right, guys. So we're gonna get into the UFC 300 or 301, sorry, reactions. Let me get to my UFC 301. Let me get it up. Ooh. Yes, correct. Not get robbed. Was there no fight of the night? Hold up. Did they not give out a fight of the night? I'm looking on the UFC website right now, guys. Did they not give out a fight of the night for last night? The night. Wow, no fight of the night last night. Huh. Interesting. Alrighty. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. We've been live for a few minutes. Alrighty. Here we are, guys. So we're going to start off with the first fight of the night. Alessandro Costa against Kevin Borjas. Costa is, to me at least, super blatantly a roid abuser. Capped shoulders, back insane. He's got the 8-pack. He's got like the high abs. But he looked good. He chewed up this guy, Kevin Borjas, with leg kicks. And, you know, it's tough to win fights if you can't check leg kicks. It happens. We saw it later in the card as well with Joe Anderson Brito beating Jack Shore. Jack Shore just ate calf kicks over and over again, and Brito was throwing them as hard as he could. He wasn't throwing like little flick them out there type of. He was putting 100% intensity on those calf kicks. And Borjas just looked outclassed. I mean, to be honest, honestly, a really sorry performance from him, in my opinion, at least. 60 strikes to 18, 46 significant strikes to 18 significant strikes. Not a good showing from Borjas, even in the round that it got finished. Yeah, even the round he got finished in, 44-3 on strikes. I mean, come on. It just shows you this is like, even on a prelim, this is the level. Even on a pay-per-view, this is the level of UFC prelim fighters these days. And this is what happens when you got 700 fighters on the roster and you're doing 45 plus events a year because the ESPN deal. This is what happens. You guys get shitty, really like regional level fighters that are in the UFC because they got to fill slots on these events. So Costa dominated. Borjas did not look good. We move up the card. Ismael Bonfim against Vinc Pichel. Honestly, a pretty entertaining fight, but really what it is Vinc Pichel is 41 years old and Bonfim is 28. And that's exactly, they were saying that on the commentary too. It looked like a 28-year-old against a 41-year-old. Pichel was much slower, reaction times, explosiveness, general hand speed, got almost doubled up on strikes. And, you know, Vinc Pichel is tough as hell. So, I mean, shout out to him for hanging in there because he ate some big shots, a head kick. I think a flying knee that was kind of on the neck, but genuinely not a great performance from Pichel. But then again, you're a stepping stone for a guy that they're trying to push. In Brazil, I think every fight on the card had a Brazilian in it. Yeah, yeah, every single fight on the card had a Brazilian fighter. You're there to lose to the Brazilian guys, pretty much. If you're a visiting fighter on this card. Bonfim looked really good, though. I know that these guys were supposed to fight at a point in the past, and Bonfim missed weight, which is a little bit of a red flag for his career. Pichel, you know, he's one of these guys. He'll be on the prelims for as long as he fights. He's not overly entertaining. He doesn't have a style that's necessarily like super exciting. But dub for Bonfim. Don't really have much to say about that. This next fight, Dione Barbosa versus Ernesta Kareckaite, I believe you say her name. And this fight was actually pretty sick. Barbosa easily won the first 2 rounds. And Ernesta, I don't even want to try. But she was basically like vying her time until Barbosa got tired, and she turned it up in the sorry guys, I recorded 5 videos before this, but yeah, and then Ernesta just waited for Barbosa to get tired, and she just didn't get tired early enough, essentially. Ernesta she turned it up in the 3rd round, and it was just a round too late. She easily won in the 3rd round, but the 1st and 2nd, she just didn't really have much for her. Barbosa had already won the fight by that point. This Ernesta girl needed a finish, and her nickname, I remember Buffer announced it, her nickname was Heavy Hands, and she had like no power in her hands, which I thought was kind of funny. But that's what happened. She needed a finish in the 3rd round, and she wasn't fast enough, strong enough, or powerful enough to get a finish in the 3rd round. So that's what happens. If you're not a power puncher, you got to go for the volume like Max Holloway's done so many times. But you got to actually put it on somebody if you're trying to get a late round stoppage and you don't have the most insane punching power. So Barbosa looked good. Ernesta looked good too. I mean, it was a competitive fight, and it was actually pretty entertaining, especially for a prelim women's fight. It's usually, those aren't super entertaining. Moving up the card, Mauricio Rufy versus Jamie Malarkey. 1st round stoppage, 25-14 on the strikes in favor of Rufy. And this Rufy guy is nasty. He strikes just like Conor McGregor, has that low front hand that he kind of probes with. He's got a high backhand, wide, extended front hand that he kind of probes with. And he hits really hard. He made Jamie Malarkey, who is very experienced in the UFC and has fought and beat some really tough guys, he made Jamie Malarkey look like shit. And that was Rufy's UFC debut. So I think he is close to a ranked guy, like 1 or 2 more wins for a ranked guy. You guys can watch. I linked to the video right here in my chat if you're interested. And yeah, I linked to the video in my chat if you guys want to watch the fights to make after 301. I actually have Rufy fighting somebody that was also on this card. Malarkey, I didn't have a matchup for. They'll probably feed him to another prospect because he's not going to be a contender. Even though he's 29, he's not looking like a future title contender. He's maybe not even going to be ranked. And then on from there, Joaquim Silva, another roid abuser in my opinion, against Drakkar Klose. And, you know, Drakkar Klose won 2 rounds to 1, 3-round decision. He looked good. He eked out, 10 strike advantage in the first. And in the third, he had more significant strikes, but he got super outstruck in that second round. Still, Drakkar Klose had more significant strikes, and Drakkar Klose called out Beneil Dariush and Jalen Turner. I don't think he's going to get a ranked opponent off of a fight like this, especially not a top 10 guy like Beneil Dariush. And then up the card from there, we have Elvis Brenner versus Muktebek Orbay, who, guys, this was actually a super fun fight. Orbay definitely dominated the fight for the most part, with the exception of a couple of shots that Orbay got clipped on the way in shooting for takedowns. And he was so, like, you can tell that that was his instinct, was to get in there for the takedowns. That's what he's comfortable with. But honestly, he looked better on the feet as well. Props to Elvis Brenner. He didn't like quit on himself ever in the fight. He didn't, he didn't make himself, even though he got dominated, he didn't give up on himself in the fight, even while getting dominated. And he had a couple of reversals that were good, really good. And Muktebek Orbay is honestly going to be a problem at 155. He dominated Uros Medic at 170 in his short notice UFC debut, and now he's at his regular weight class of 155. Training at Team Alpha Male, I believe. He's going to be a huge problem in lightweight. I think he's going to be one win from a ranked opponent. He's really good. Up from there, we had Yasmin Lucindo against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Now, this fight was very similar to the Ismael Bonfim and Vinc Pichel fight, because you had 38-year-old Karolina Kowalkiewicz against 22-year-old Yasmin Lucindo, and it looked exactly like that. It looked like a 16-year age difference, because you had Lucindo was faster, more aggressive, stronger in the grappling, and Karolina Kowalkiewicz just was just a step behind the entire fight, kind of the same way as Vinc Pichel was when he was fighting against Bonfim earlier on the card. They're just too slow. Reactions are too slow. Blocking punches with their faces, to be honest. And just outclassed. She got almost doubled up on strikes, 91-47, 30-27 decision. Yasmin Lucindo's ranked now, so she's going to fight somebody in that like 10-15 range at strawweight. And yeah, just not much to say about that one either. It was kind of like there wasn't any like insane fights on the card, which I guess now it makes a little bit more sense as to why there was no fight of the night. But there was there's a bunch of performance bonuses, but no fight of the night. There wasn't really any wars. All of the fights that went to a decision were super one-sided. Actually, as a whole, the fights were mostly one-sided. Like if I go through here, Costa outclassed Borjas, Bonfim outclassed Pichel. Barbosa and this Ernesta could have gotten fight of the night. It was super entertaining. Rufi versus Malarkey, super one-sided. Joaquim Silva versus Drakkar Klose was competitive, but not like a war where it'd be a fight of the night. Honestly, Elvis Brenner and Orbay could have been fight of the night, but it still was very one-sided. And then from there, I just went over this one. Up there, the featured prelim, Joe Anderson Brito versus Jack Shore. Doctor stoppage in the second round, sorry. And couple of things. Jack Shore needs to go back down to 135. He looked way smaller than Brito. He looked physically less imposing. The strength in the clinch up against the fence, Brito reversed him and reversed position so easily. Honestly, Jack Shore was 17-1. He did not look like it in this fight. Yeah, so a couple things. He needs to go back down to 35. Brito is fucking nasty. He hits hard. He was throwing everything he had into those leg kicks, literally not caring if they got checked. And luckily for him, they weren't getting checked because Jack Shore, that's my second point, is that Jack Shore needs to learn to check a leg kick. You know, I'm not trying to be Joe Rogan here because I have openly clowned Joe Rogan for just glazing calf kicks all day. But this type of, this fight, the calf kick made all the difference in the world. And even though the stoppage was pretty iffy, I would have let him keep going. It was a lot of blood, but Jack Shore's coach, it actually might have been his dad too, posted a picture of them at the hospital, and the stitch, it was like 3 stitches. It was just that he got kicked so many other times that there was so much inflammation in the area that when that cut broke open, there was just already a lot of blood and inflammation in the area that needed to be relieved, I guess. And that's what they were saying on the broadcast too. And then, yeah, so Jack Shore moved down to 35. Brito, gonna fight somebody in the top 15. I just put out my video on fights to make after. I have him fighting like a Sadiq Youssef. He's got to fight a striker for it to be competitive. If Brito fights like a Bryce Mitchell, oh my God, Bryce Mitchell's gonna get his fucking ass whooped if he fights somebody like Joe Anderson Brito. And up from there onto the main card, Kyle Bohalio against Paul Craig. I mean, honest to God, guys, I think Paul Craig should retire. He looked fucking terrible. He had a high guard and was just eating punches down the middle with little to no reaction. Genuinely, little to no reaction. Just eating punches, straight shots right down the middle. And Bohalio looked good, but it's hard to look bad when you're striking against somebody like Paul Craig and Paul Craig can't get his jiu-jitsu off. I think from a size standpoint, it makes sense for him to be at 85. He was a little undersized for 205. I mean, like, I remember after he got KO'd by Johnny Walker, he was like, I'm too small for this weight class. Like, Johnny Walker's huge. Because Johnny Walker was crazy bigger than him in that fight. And Johnny Walker's big anyway, but still, like, Paul Craig is just not a physically imposing light heavyweight. Definitely more suited physically for middleweight, but just zero striking. Like, you can't just spam a body kick over and over and over. And I had Kyle Bohalio winning this fight going into it. The only hope that Paul Craig had was getting some jiu-jitsu off, and the 2 times that he pulled guard from a clinch position, Kyle Bohalio just completely disengaged, and Bohalio is a good jiu-jitsu player as well. So I was surprised that he didn't engage in the jiu-jitsu, but I guess just with the huge, like, crazy stark difference in their striking, that just, hey, Paul Craig, get off your ass, quit boot scooting, and eat these 1-2s, you know? So Kyle Bohalio, go watch my video about fights to make, but I don't think that Cannonier, that's a top 5 guy. I don't think that's a great step up right now. I think that he should definitely go in that 10 to 15 range still. Imavov would be a better one. You know, I watched my video. I have him fighting the loser of Cannonier and Imavov, but let me know what you guys think. Who should Kyle Bohalio fight next? What should Paul Craig do next? I mean, geez, she looked fucking terrible. He just zero reactions, zero boxing too. He would just eat punches. And then throw a body kick, eat punches, throw a body kick, shoot a bullshit takedown from way out of range, try to pull it into guard. And it's just, he got outclassed. He's older now. His chin is not there anymore. I mean, that knockout was fucking vicious. He got his head bounced off the cage. Yikes, guys. Paul Craig, might be time to call it a career, to be honest. He was talking about retiring a year ago in an interview. And, all right, and then we got, up from there, we have Michel Pereira versus Ihor Potieria. Potieria, just so... Ihor Potieria, just so incredibly outclassed in this fight. And Michel Pereira is a problem at 185. Potieria, it's wild to think that he was at 205. Paul Craig versus Mike Perry, BKFC. Definitely. Definitely. Hey, that's Mike Perry, low key, hear me out. Most dominant combat sports athlete right now. You know, you got you have his if you compare just how dominant he is in BKFC to how other people are in UFC, boxing, whatever. Hey, maybe a little glazy take from me, but Mike Perry, the most dominant combat sports athlete out there right now. Tell me who's beating him, all right? Tell me who's beating Mike Perry in BKFC. And then, anyways, back to the card. Michel Pereira is a problem at 85. Potieria was, I can't even believe this guy was at 205. He is... All right, man, I'm telling you, though. Most dominant. Fuck John Jones. Fuck Alex Pereira. Fuck Canelo. It's Mike Perry in BKFC. And it's crazy that Potieria was at 205 and Pereira was at 170 because Pereira was bigger than Potieria in this fight. And super chinny Potieria, cracked. The backflip knee, though, that shit was illegal as fuck. That was a legal ass knee. And Michel Pereira went from a fun fighter to possibly being a legit 85 fighter. Absolute bonkers. Yeah, I totally agree. And you know what? I remember I saw a highlight of him against Diego Sanchez at welterweight. I think he got disqualified in that fight. But him at 70, he was fucking massive. And so for him... Yeah, honestly, hear me out, man. I think he fights like a Jack Hermanson type. And I think he could beat somebody like that. He smoked Olajacek at 299, and Olajacek is super tough. And then he smoked Potieria, who he's not great, to be honest. It's a little bit of a layup, in my opinion. But, you know, and I actually think Potieria should make a quick turnaround, get this one out of his system, you know, because he got choked to sleep. I know he got dropped, but he got hit 6 times total, put to sleep. It's not like he took some insane knockout. He was originally booked to be on the Saudi Arabia card against Sharaputin Magomedov. Just throw him back on that card. Sharaputin doesn't have an opponent right now. I think Michel Pereira can beat DDP on a good day. That's an interesting take. You know, it depends, because it depends on if Pereira gasses out. His gas tank is so much better at 85. We'll see. I want to see him against a ranked guy, because Potieria and Olajacek, unranked guys, he smoked them. If Pereira can like easily beat Jack Hermanson, or let me look at the middleweight rankings. Let's look at these. Okay. Just comparing Michel Pereira to the guys that are ranked at 85. Chris Curtis, I think he beats Chris Curtis easy. Bohalio, that's an interesting fight. I think Pereira wins that fight. Paul Craig wouldn't even be fun to watch. It would be sad to watch Paul Craig fight Michel Pereira. Anthony Hernandez, pressure, high-paced grappler. That is something that could be a problem for him. Hamzat Chimaev is an exciting fight. He could be, you know, he could get just taken down and submitted, though. Jack Hermanson, I think he could beat Jack Hermanson. I think he could beat Roman Dolidze. I think he could beat Imavov. Paulo Costa is a tough matchup for him. You know what, man? That take is not as hot as it seemed at first. I actually think that Pereira fares pretty well against most of the ranked 85ers. It just depends on what day you catch him on, I guess. Because DDP, like, goddamn, DDP fights like his fights are like drunk uncles in the backyard. But he hits hard. He has a better gas tank than it seemed like early in his career after getting his nose fixed. I'd have to see him fight some ranked guys. I'd have to see Pereira fight some ranked guys. DDP, he's really good. Hear me out. He's a champ, obviously. But I'd say that DDP is probably... I'd say DDP is probably the least talented, from a martial arts standpoint, least talented champ right now. If I go through the champs, Pantoja, O'Malley, Ilya is... Yeah, DDP is the least talented champ right now. Least dynamic as well. Let him knock out Whitaker for the title shot. Give him the Alex Pereira treatment. Yeah, but Whitaker is fighting Hamzat in about 7 weeks. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I could see it. It's a big jump up, though. It's like, see, with Pereira, Alex Pereira. Yeah, that's true. And see, with Alex Pereira, the reason that he got fast-tracked with the Strickland fight straight into a title shot was because of his history with Izzy Adesanya when Izzy was champ. But you know, Michel Pereira, there's no like storyline that like gives the UFC an excuse to push him from unranked to the third-ranked middleweight. I think it's much more likely that he fights someone like Jack Hermanson. That's the video that I just put up, was the fights to make after 301. It's linked over here in the chat, but I think him versus Jack Hermanson. Jack Hermanson beat up Joe Pyfer, who I thought was going to be... What if it came out that Michel Pereira smashed DDP's girl? Well, I mean, DDP wants to smash Alexa Grasso, so I guess it would be even, right? And actually, you know what's funny is Michel Pereira called out Jorge Masvidal for DMing his wife, and then it came out that his wife was DMing Jorge Masvidal. Let me find this, guys. One second. Let me find this out. One sec, guys. I found it on Twitter. I found the thread. Yeah, that shit is crazy. But hold on, I just found the thread on Twitter. Yeah, here it is. So Masvidal says, how crazy a world and how far has society fallen that this idiot UFC Pereira would use his wife to hopefully one day get a paycheck and create a fake narrative to try and get a fight with me when he clearly sees she slid in my DM, wishing you guys the best, hashtag marriage counts. And here you go, guys. She mentioned Masvidal in her story, and then she replied to his story. He just hit her with the praying. Yo, for your wife to slide in some other dude's DM and kind of get ignored, you know, just an emoji, that's kind of down bad. But I'm not even going to play like Michel Pereira wouldn't. Absolutely. Michel Pereira would absolutely kill Jorge Masvidal. Yeah, that was, yeah, otherworldly savage. But then, hey, man, receipts are receipts, man. Hashtag marriage counselor is nasty. But hear me out, though, guys. Pereira kills Masvidal in a fight. Like, hear me out, though, guys. Not to be, I don't think he's terrible, but Masvidal sucks, all right? He, you know, flying knee, title shot, couple of good wins, but from a talent standpoint, like if you were to pair Jorge Masvidal up with the guys that are at like the top of the food chain at welterweight right now, look at this. Leon smokes him. Usman beat him twice. Bilal decisions him. Shavkat kills him. Colby did decision him very convincingly. JDM smokes him. Gilbert Burns beat him already. Ian Gary beats him. Sean Brady submits him in the first round. Wonder Boy nowadays probably beats him. Jeff Neal, yeah, you'd have to get down to like 10, in that 10 to 15 range for Jorge Masvidal to have a winnable fight in today's welterweight division. So honestly, it's funny. He's just like always talking about breaking someone's orbital. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, he already did beat Masvidal. But I'm just saying, you got to go down. I think like Jesus, maybe like Neil Magny is a winnable fight for Masvidal in today's, if he was to still be fighting today, maybe Jeff Neal. But like Buckley's good. Michael Venom Page absolutely smokes Masvidal. Vicente Luque maybe wins if he doesn't give up in the fight and just quit like he did against Buckley. Kevin Holland would absolutely smoke Jorge Masvidal. And you know what, guys? I thought that Kevin Holland was going to be a problem at 170. And then I just realized that when he doesn't win the first round, he gets frustrated and starts checking out. Like the Tim Means fight was impressive. The Chiesa fight was impressive. But then when he fought, yeah, man, I was super high on Holland. And then after the MVP fight, I was like, here's what happens. He gets frustrated and he gives up because he starts, same thing. He started getting pissed at MVP and whatever, man. Kevin Holland is going to be one of those guys that'll collect a bag for fight night main events and co-main events, things like that. But he's never going to be a contender, which is sad because literally before 299, before UFC 299, I was like, Kevin Holland could be welterweight champ. And I don't feel that way anymore. Anyways, let's get back to the card, guys. Let's get back to the card. So Pereira against like Hermanson would be a good fight. That's where I was at, I think. And then up from there, Anthony Smith and Vitor Petrino. Now listen, I shit on Anthony Smith last week with my, let me see this video. You guys might have seen it. I shit on Anthony Smith with this video right here because the guy's fucking delusional. But as it turns out, he's not as delusional. This was Anthony Smith on paper, was him beating Vitor Petrino. And listen, Vitor Petrino looked really good against Tyson Pedro. I thought he was going to come in here and make Anthony Smith look really, really bad. And he went in there through bullshit overhands trying to KO Anthony Smith. He was like, okay, I'm not landing these. Let me shoot a lazy headfirst double leg and then invite myself into a guillotine. Like that shit was fucking embarrassing. And see, look, man, Petrino, blatant roid abuser. And he got submitted by Anthony Smith, who is 37. He's got almost 20 losses in his career. And I mean, just look at their physiques compared to each other. Vitor Smith, blatant roid abuser, and Anthony Smith is like built like melting ice cream. Like it's just wild to me that Anthony Smith won this fight. I was expecting him to just take like beating after beating from ranked light heavyweights until he calls it a career. Now Anthony Smith, he said to somebody, I think he said to the commentators, I just might get gold after all. I mean, what happened when you fought the top of the food chain? Magomed Ankalaev had you in the fetal position. Leo Roundtree hasn't even proven himself to be elite yet. We'll see how he does against Jamal Hill. And he snatched your soul viciously. So Vitor Petrino, huge flop. I thought he was going to break into the rankings, but Anthony Smith, I think he's going to fight. They should put him up against Anthony Smith, Bogdan Guskov, his twin. So that's what I think his next fight should be. Defend a spot, still have to fight a lower ranked guy because you've lost to so many highly ranked guys. And like, you just can't, like, they can't just be like, okay, rematch this guy, rematch Roundtree, rematch Rakic, like, just because you got to win. So, moving up from there, co-main event, Jose Aldo against Jonathan Martinez. Guys, I picked Martinez on this. I was not expecting Aldo to look so good coming out of retirement. I guess I should have taken into consideration more that he has stayed active with competing in boxing twice since he retired and still training. I was looking at this like, okay, who's younger? Martinez. Who's more active? Martinez, at least from an MMA standpoint. And I was like, okay, we're going to get a leg kick battle from Aldo and Martinez. And he got outboxed. He got dropped towards the end of the fight. The moment was just too big for him, in my opinion. The moment was just way too big for him. He was gun shy. He was just double jabbing without getting actually aggressive. He wasn't mixing in his low kicks. He's like 29 or 30. Aldo is the one that's towards the end of his career at 37 years old. And he looked way slower than Aldo. Aldo's 8 years older, something like that. And Aldo was cooking him with the boxing. And it kind of sucks, you know, especially after watching Embedded and Countdown, Martinez's story with being with the wife since they were young and having a kid super young and stuff. I was like, hey, this is a good story. Let's get this dude a big win. Move him up towards the top of the heap. It's a good story. I really like the Factory X guys, except for Anthony Smith. Fuck him. But I like Mark Montoya, the Factory X coach. I like Chris Gutierrez, Brendan Royval. And I like that gym a lot. And I thought it was going to be a big day for them. But, you know, and they had Vinc Pichel on the card too, but I wasn't expecting him to win. But I thought this was going to be a big win for Factory X and for Jonathan Martinez. Get a win over Jose Aldo, probably get a new contract, higher pay. But now we're talking about Aldo in big fights, which is pretty wild to me. Like, we got Aldo could be fighting like a Chito Vera, a Henry Cejudo, Dominic Cruz. In my fights to make video, I said Aldo against Chito Vera, but I would be really down with Aldo versus Cejudo too on like the main card of the Sphere 306. I could get down with it. Aldo also said today that he wants to skip the line and fight O'Malley. Just from an entertainment standpoint, from a how exciting the fight would be standpoint, I'd rather see Aldo and O'Malley than Merab and O'Malley, just saying. So there's my thoughts on that. Moving up from there, you know, Martinez fumbled. He's going to have to fight like a Mario Batista next. Moving up from there, Alessandro Pantoja beats Steve Erceg in the main event by decision. Guys, this was not a robbery. It wasn't. Erceg got outstruck. He got taken down 9 times. I know that people say damage, but you can't just have one elbow that makes the guy bleed at his hairline that doesn't necessarily affect the fight very much, and then say, no. Erceg got robbed. I mean, here, let's look at this. First round, clearly Pantoja. 34-19 on total strikes, 30-17 on significant strikes with 2 takedowns. Okay, round 1, Pantoja. Round 2, almost even on the striking, about 5 more strikes for Erceg, but the exchanges were good. The exchanges were very even, competitive. It wasn't like Erceg was cooking him on the feet. Pantoja is definitely less technical on the feet, but he was landing, and the commentary was not acknowledging Pantoja landing on the feet. And so when you have almost even striking in the second round, and then you have Pantoja getting 3 takedowns. That's how they score it. You have to go from, okay, effectiveness. Okay, in the striking, it was almost even. So then you go to the grappling. Pantoja was more effective, 2 rounds to 0. Round 3, 37-26, Pantoja on strikes. 34-22 on significant strikes with 3 takedowns. Okay, 3-0 Pantoja. Like, I was going through this and I was sitting there watching it with my girlfriend and I was like, this is 3-0 Pantoja. And then you hear Pantoja's corner tell him he's up 3-0. You hear Erceg's corner tell him that he's down 3-0. And that's how I saw it too. And I don't know, guys, the script had Erceg winning. That's what the UFC wanted. They were in the writer's room saying that Erceg was going to become, I think it comes down to 3rd round, 6 out of 10 times the champ loses. Okay, I hear you, Nate. But see, for me, I had 1, 2, 3 Pantoja. Round 4, Pantoja essentially took the round off because he was gassed. That round goes to Erceg. Round 5, more strikes and more significant strikes to Pantoja, but almost even, and then they both landed 1 takedown. So that's a toss-up round. I scored it 4-1 Pantoja, especially Erceg shooting that takedown in the 5th when he needed a finish. He needed to get a knockout. He blew that round, but even so, that round wasn't the deciding factor of the fight. I saw many people saying that it was 2-2 going into the 5th, and then the 5th round decided it. I thought it was 3-1 going into the 5th. Very close toss-up round in the 5th. I had it 4-1, round by round. Pantoja, clearly round 1. Pantoja, clearly round 2. Or round 3, sorry. Round 2 was really even though he had Erceg landed slightly more strikes. It was fairly even on the feet, and then you also had the 3 takedowns. I understand that could go to Pantoja as well. And watching the fight live, without the live stats, like without looking at these stats like I am right now, just watching it live, and that's how the judges see it too. They're not sitting there with the strike counts in front of them. I thought it was for Pantoja. So I had it 3-0 Pantoja going into the 4th. Pantoja basically took the 4th round off. Erceg wins. And then the 5th round, even if you want to throw that one to Erceg, 3-2 Pantoja. And then if you want to say toss-up round to Pantoja in the 5th, 4-1 Pantoja. So the people that are crying robbery, saying that Erceg got robbed, it's just objectively not true. Erceg's a cool guy. I kind of wanted him to win, even though I picked Pantoja. He seemed like a cool guy. But you guys got to be more objective when you watch these. Being completely blind, I go off hearing. Steve's shot sounded cleaner. Okay. Wait, being completely blind. Explain that one to me. You watch fights? Not to be a dick, I'm curious. Steve's shot sound cleaner. You're fucking with me. How do you watch my live? How did you find my live? I need some answers, Nate. I need some answers out of that one. Yeesh. All right, and then also some of the bigger YouTubers, such as, we're getting some views right now, boys. All right, and then let me go, let's see, because there's a few of the bigger MMA YouTubers were claiming robbery. I'm going to go to Guru's video about it. Yeah, and I started a page. See, I've been covering college baseball and fights. Wait, what? All right, interesting. But let me find, I'm going to find Guru's video. Oh, for sure. Awesome, man. Appreciate you finding it on my, listening or checking in on recommended. That's pretty sick. You so interesting enough, I played college baseball, my guy. So here's what I got. Here's a Guru's video claiming that Erceg was robbed. See if I got it. Back once.
Video on this because I know he likes to do it.
Showing my IP on stream. What's the 11.7 guy? I played at Chico State. I played at a few schools. I played at Cal State Dominguez Hills. I played at Chico State. And I played at Vanguard University, which is an NAIA school. That's where I played college baseball. I went to 4 schools in 4 years. So I went to Cal State Dominguez Hills, West LA College, Chico State, and then an NAIA school called. Oh, 11.7 is a college baseball podcast. Gotcha. Yeah, but I was a relatively unsuccessful college baseball player. I'm a big guy, threw hard. I was a pitcher, threw like 92 to like sat like 91, 92, touched 95 a couple times, and just never figured out the mental side of the game. Never figured out throwing strikes consistently. Never figured out, never figured out the mental side of the game. Transferred around, trying to find my best opportunities, best places where people would give me a scholarship to play, things like that. And yeah, just yeah, that was about it. And then my senior season got canceled midway through because of COVID, and then I was trying to pursue a pro contract, tore my rotator cuff, had to go through the rehab on that, which took it's like an 18-month recovery. At least it's like a year to 18 months. And about a year into it, I was like, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. So I tapped out on baseball, got into MMA fighting, did that for a few years. Still train, I don't compete anymore. And then got into my YouTubing. So there's that. But anyways, here is Guru's video saying that Steve Erceg got robbed. I don't necessarily agree with.
I wonder if the Weasel has made a video on this, because I know he likes to do his who really won type thing. Still no. Okay. No sign of the Weasel yet. Maybe he's not covering the event. I think the Weasel's going to score it for Erceg. I think he'll score round 5 for Erceg.
You're originally from up near Vanguard. Nice, dude. Nice. Orange County.
My honest opinion, I think he'll score round 5 for Erceg. I think he'll score round 3 maybe to Erceg. 2 and 4 will also go to Erceg. Erceg looks great, man.
This dude, see, I like Guru's stuff a lot. I watch his videos a lot, but I just went through what I thought about the fight during the fight, and then looking at the stats after. And Guru has 2, 3, 4, and 5 for Erceg. Is that what he said?
And 4 will. I think he'll score round 3 maybe to Erceg. 2 and 4 will also go to Erceg. Erceg looks great, man. What a performance. Amazing performance. Best flyweight in the world. He proved it tonight. A lot of people were counting him out. A lot of people were counting round 3.
There's no way that this dude Guru really thinks that Steve Erceg won 4 rounds.
For Erceg, I think he'll score round 5 for Erceg. Covering the event. I think the Weasel's going to score it for Erceg. I think he'll score round 5 for Erceg. My honest opinion. I think he'll score round 5 for Erceg. I think he'll score round 3 maybe to Erceg. 2 and 4 will also go to Erceg. Erceg looks great, man. What a performance. Amazing performance. Best flyweight in the world. He proved it tonight. A lot of people were counting him out. But a lot of people that were in the know about the sport were like, stylistically, if you've done your research and you're not just guessing based on if there's been underdogs before or after or trying to guess based on that, statistically, you know Erceg beats Pantoja. Like, he will out-damage him. This is the criteria. Pantoja is not able to inflict damage on Erceg. We knew that going into the fight. He wouldn't be able to pin him down long enough to get off damage. He wouldn't be able to do any damage on the feet. And what do you know? That's what happened. He did get control time. He did land shots here and there as Erceg was getting back up, and, you know, other moments where they were in the clinch and he would body shot Erceg a few times, and then Erceg would crack him with a knee and an elbow on the break.
I super disagree with this take.
So he was landing, but none of it was doing anything to Erceg at all. So I thought the fact that Erceg was...
Let me see what these comments say about Guru's take on this. Wow. Nobody really calling him out. Yeah, Pantoja clearly won that fight. I don't know what you watched. Erceg dropped the ball. That's how I feel about it. Let's see. Iggy, it's okay to admit Steve lost only because he shot the 5th. That's fine. Iggy, you say Erceg won on damage, but Sean didn't beat DDP. Okay. Pantoja's chin needs to be examined by scientists. Oh my God, the people that have Erceg 4-1 are fucking tripping. Tripping. Okay, let me see. Let me see what Lucas Tracy had to say about this. Gotta see what the biggest YouTubers have to say about this stuff. You know what I mean? Let's see. Let's see what Lucas Tracy has to say about this. Guys, I swear, Erceg did not get robbed. He lost this fight 4-1, maybe 3-2.
Was Steve Erceg screwed over? Was Steve Erceg given the short end of the stick? Did he get robbed tonight? Or did Alexandre Pantoja actually pull it off? All right, I'm going to give my recap of this entire UFC 301 card. If you're interested in hearing a particular take of mine on any of these fights, check the timestamps in the description. I'm going to break every single one down. But it's time to get into the main event, the controversial main event. I had it 2-2 going into the fifth.
Would you rather see Jones against Alex or Tom? I would rather see him against Tom Aspinall. Alex Pereira is the bigger fight. Obviously, he's a bigger star than Tom Aspinall, but he was a middleweight. Now he's a light heavyweight. Guys, here's the deal with Jon Jones, okay? He's at this point in his career where he wants the big payday fights that are winnable, where he doesn't have to put his legacy so crazy on the line. All right? Ciryl Gane instead of Francis Ngannou. It was supposed to be John and Francis. Scary fight. John could get knocked out cold. John ends up fighting. John decides to come back once Francis has vacated and left the company. Ciryl Gane, easy fight for Jon Jones. Bad stylistic matchup for Ciryl Gane. Then, now he wants to fight Stipe. 40 years old, plus 40 plus, hasn't fought since 2020, I think. And so he wants that fight. And then he wants to fight a former middleweight that can't wrestle in Alex Pereira. And don't get me wrong, Alex Pereira is my favorite fighter, but I'm just being objective about it. Jon Jones submits Alex Pereira in the first round. Tom Aspinall is bigger than Jon Jones. Let me pull up their face-off real quick. Tom Aspinall is just as fast or faster. He's more dangerous. He has a better ground game. That's like the biggest nightmare matchup for Jon Jones is Tom Aspinall. And he's even said that he doesn't want to put his legacy on. He's got to start thinking about his legacy at some point. Like, here's Tom Aspinall when he went up to John at this meet and greet. Look at their size difference, all right? Look at the size difference between Aspinall and Jon Jones.
Where do we want?
Just from a size standpoint, John looks clearly smaller. Sorry, let me get out of the way. John looks smaller. Maybe a bad angle, but he looks smaller than him. And Aspinall would make Jones look like an amateur light heavyweight, similar to 125 Mighty Mouse. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Taz, I agree with you, dude. Aspinall cooks John Jones. Cooks him. He's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He'll get in there and power double leg him. Nobody's going to try to take down John Jones at heavyweight, but Tom Aspinall will. Black belt in jiu-jitsu, just knocked out Sergey Pavlovich, who John was also afraid to fight. Listen, I like watching John fight. All of his personal stuff aside, he's a super entertaining fighter to watch, but Tom Aspinall cooks John Jones. Let me watch. This says, here's the full video.
No.
Nate, I do have social media. It's on Instagram and Twitter. It's at Fight Society MMA. But let me go to this. It says, here's the full video. Tom Aspinall.
What if you could do SEO smarter?
But here's the full video.
Oh my. Meet and greet's great. I like me.
All right, one sec. Let me get to this.
Oh, just saying hello. What's going on, man? How are you?
I'm all good, man. Threatened. What I'm saying.
Respect, man.
All the best.
Respect. Okay. No problem. No problem. Okay.
Nice to meet you, Tom.
I would love to have the.
Okay, Tom, this angle's a little bit better, but Tom's slightly taller. Natural heavyweight. I'm telling you.
Just no. Okay.
All the
We'll do a
best.
quick picture.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's get
A
it.
face off. Just
no.
no. Okay. No problem. No problem.
That's great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Nice to meet you,
I
Tom.
would love to have the honor one day. I would love to have the honor.
Maybe one day.
Hope so, man. All the best. All the best. How's everything?
It's healing. So slowly but surely.
Okay. All the best, man.
Thanks.
Thank you, man.
Thanks.
Yeah, Jones is for sure ducking, Kyle. I'm telling you. And fair play to him. You know, he wants to keep winning fights against like Stipe, Alex Pereira at heavyweight. Big paydays, winnable fights, and where it won't like damage his legacy. But in hindsight, people are going to look back at John Jones. The UFC and Dana, they love to say like greatest fighter of all time because they want to say that they have the GOAT. Right now, when they push John Jones fights, when they promote John Jones fights, they want to say he's the best fighter of all time. But people in hindsight are going to look back at John Jones's resume and they are going to realize that he ducked Francis Ngannou, he ducked Tom Aspinall. They're going to look back and see that he is a cheat time and time again. Multiple positive drug tests. And then, like, let's look through his shirt out, guys. Like, Surreal Gone, okay. Easy matchup for him. Surreal Gone can't wrestle, submitted him in the first round. Dominic Reyes arguably lost that fight. Thiago Santos went to a split decision with Thiago Santos blowing out both knees. Anthony Smith should have lost on a DQ with the illegal knee. Gustafsson gave him two of his toughest fights because John has a hard time with guys that are his size or bigger. DC overturned because he failed a drug test. Ovince St. Preux, that was a fill-in for the interim belt because DC got hurt. Ovince St. Preux's never been elite. He got himself in an interim title shot on short notice. DC, he was probably on roids for that one. You got to go back to 2014 for like impressive John Jones wins, and even then, and I think GSP is probably the best of all time right now because I've kind of sobered up a little bit in terms of my opinion of John Jones, because Gustafsson gave him a run for his money. Chael Sonnen was a middleweight. Vitor Belfort almost had him, but Vitor Belfort was old. Rashad Evans was old. And these guys are, how tall is Rashad Evans? 5'11". So John's got 5 inches of height and like 10 inches of reach. Vladimir Matyushenko, who was actually my wrestling coach. But same here, Vladimir, they have him listed at 6'1". Okay, I'll tell you from knowing him personally, Vlad is not 6'1". He's 5'10", maybe. And then Shogun Hua, old, looks like a bag of potatoes. Like, I'm just saying, like, these guys were really good for their time. I'm not trying to like discredit the entire career, but when people look back at John Jones's career in the long run, I don't think he's the GOAT. I literally, when he beat Ciryl Gane, I was like, that's the greatest of all time. But I've had some sobering moments about John Jones's career recently where I'm like, EDs. Well, I mean, the out of the cage stuff, you know, with his violence towards women, you could say. You can't really include that in his how good of a fighter he is, but just like his actual, man, like his career is a lot of wins in a row, but PEDs, time away from the cage. Do I think he's gay? Have I seen the video? Yeah, I saw the video. I don't know, man. He's zesty for sure. He's zesty as hell for sure. Look at these red earrings he's got on right here against Tom Aspinall. He might be, man. No shame over here, but he might be. A lot of those clips seem like jokes, you know. He might be, but he's for sure zesty. He's dipping his toe in the water. He's dipping his toe in the pool a little bit just to test the temperature, if you know what I mean. But then, all right, so. But anyways, what was I talking about? You guys got me on this whole John Jones thing, Kyle. But yes, Tom, I would rather see him fight Tom from a legacy standpoint. I want to see him if he beats Tom. But Alex Pereira is my favorite fighter, I would say. So, I mean, like, I'd be down to see the matchup. But, I mean, Pereira gets double-legged and submitted in the first round, in my opinion. That's actually, Kyle, now that we're talking about John Jones, if he is gay, I'm just saying if, it makes me think that he is in love with DC. Looking back at their trash talk and stuff, I was saying that to my girlfriend the other day. I was like, what if he's in love with Daniel Cormier? What if he likes him just a big guy, you know? And like even when John Jones said that he's a whole no, what was it? That he was belly deep in that he wanted DC belly deep in him or something like that. Crazy. But anyways, back to this Pantoja Erceg shit. It's probable. It's possible. It's possible. The only thing, like, here's the thing. I like Guru's videos a lot, even though I highly disagree with him saying that Erceg won 4-1. It's possible, but what happens in that video is that Guru strings together a lot of pieces under the assumption that it's all true, which makes it a lot more believable. Well, okay, I'll say it's possible. He might be bi too, you know, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with it, like Guru said, but he might be. It's possible. I was trying to talk about Pantoja Erceg. Now you guys asking me if John Jones is gay. But anyways, so let's see what, because Lucas Tracy says he changed his mind on the decision. So let's see what he said.
Rewatched the 5th round. I've tallied up every single strike. If you're going to look at the UFC's website, they're incorrect. You're wasting your time. They have it 15-13 in favor of Pantoja, which is absolute bullshit. Right? You can never trust the UFC stats. I've tallied them up. The 5th round is the swing round. It's 2-2 going into the 5th. The 3rd round, it
was 3-1 going into the 5th, in my opinion.
ain't a fucking Steve Erceg.
What was my live reaction to seeing Anthony Smith show out on paper? I'll tell you what it was, man. I'll tell you what happened. Fight was about to start, and I was like, I literally said, I was watching the fight with my girlfriend, and I literally said, right when they were about, that when Buffer was saying their names, I was like, give it 2 minutes, and we're going to see Anthony Smith in a fetal position, I'm telling you. Like he was against John Jones, like he was against Magomed Ankalaev. And my live reaction was right when he snatched up that guillotine and won the fight. I literally just crossed my arms and I was like, I don't know anything about this sport. I just went, wow, I don't know anything about this sport. And I made my shit-talking piece about him too. I made my shit-talking piece, and I feel like the Anthony Smith goons are going to come and say, somebody said he did shut you up on fight night, though, which is true. He did shut me up on fight night, but hey, you're still delusional. You still called the fans dumb. Can't avoid that. And you have lost 20 times in your career. I had 2 fights during my fighting career, all right? I'm 1-1. I got less losses than Anthony Smith. So basically what I'm saying is that I had a better fighting career than Anthony Smith. 2-2 amateur fighter. Or 1-1 amateur fighter, sorry.
Sick round. It's a Pantoja round. All right, I've rewatched that too. One little cut is not the same thing as a knockdown. I'm tired of acting like cuts are the same shit as a fucking knockdown. They're not. But the 5th round was extremely close. Steve Erceg had 14 significant strikes. Pantoja had 11. Big difference from what the UFC stats will show you. But either way, people are acting like Pantoja didn't land strikes.
That I do agree with. People are acting like Pantoja didn't land strikes. And I was watching the fight, like, the commentary is only acknowledging Erceg landing left hooks, but they're not acknowledging Pantoja, because Pantoja's a little bit of a sloppy striker. He's nowhere near as polished as Erceg, but he's not like Pantoja's not a guy that's like going to be like straight 1-2s down the pipe. I was going off on a rant about how Smith was going to get beaten in a group chat. Then I said it would be funny if I was wrong, and Smith made me eat my word 2 minutes in. Yeah, see? No, dude, I said, I straight up was like, give it 2 minutes. I turned to my girlfriend, I said, give it 2 minutes. Anthony Smith's going to be in a fetal position. And at exactly 2 minutes in the fight got stopped from the guillotine. You know? That little Uno reverse card. Uno Smith, you know?
Which is BS. It was extremely close. Pantoja didn't just hug in the 5th. He landed strikes. He landed low.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was saying about Pantoja striking. Pantoja, like, kind of runs in with these, like, really wild shit, but he was landing. And he had Erceg clipped a couple of times. And I thought the striking was relatively even. And then Pantoja implemented grappling where Erceg didn't. And that's what decided most of the fight.
Low kicks. He landed body shots.
Who was... I was rooting for... Okay, wait, hold on. Then some diehard Smith fan started going hard on me, calling Smith a legend, and I should respect him. Like, dude was quiet the whole event and came alive when Smith won to defend his Pookie Bear. Yeah, man, here's the thing. Anthony Smith has like an extra chromosome or like CTE or something. But oh man, I hate when people do this. Like, you have to respect the fighters. Like, no. It's it's entertainment. We can say whatever the fuck we want. I have other creators that I know in the MMA space that are like, just glaze. Like, it's just glaze, here to protect the fighters. And it doesn't need to be like that. We're here for entertainment. I'm here for entertainment. When I said some shit about Bo Nickel, somebody was talking to me about ginger on ginger violence. I thought that shit was fucking hilarious. We're here for entertainment. It's not this like, they fight, we have to protect them and respect them. It's not like I'm sitting here going, I put a lot of time into my videos, you guys better respect me. But honestly, and who's a diehard Anthony Smith fan? Who are you friends with, man? I'm dead serious. I'm not even trying to be funny. Who's a diehard Anthony Smith fan? But that is how it goes, though. People do this, they're quiet the whole event. Or like, same thing when I will disagree on a pick with somebody. They'll be like quiet the whole time. But as soon as I'm wrong about one, they go, see? Fucking see? I got one pick right. And who I was rooting for in the main event, I picked Pantoja, but my heart kind of wanted Erceg to win. It's a group chat, tons of different people from different walks of life. More like a fan of fighters. Oh, you were in like one of those group chats. I thought you meant like a group chat with like your friends. I understand. But Kyle, I was rooting. My heart wanted Erceg, but I picked Pantoja. Like, my heart wanted Erceg, but my gut picked Pantoja. In the co-main event, it was like the reverse, because my heart wanted. Actually, I wanted Martinez, and I picked him to win, but he just got cooked. He just didn't show up. It just wasn't his moment. Yeah, all of your real life MMA friends wanted to see Smith punish. That's what I wanted to see. Fuck Anthony Smith. All the homies hate Anthony Smith, you know? Honestly, man, if you're an Anthony Smith fan, I don't know. There's a lot cooler fighters to like. I'm just saying. Like, my favorite fighters, Alex Pereira. Not Michelle Pereira. Alex Pereira, Charles Oliveira. I like Dustin Poirier a lot. Who else do I like? It's like a rotating door, kind of. There's like different guys that I fuck with. Like, there's also some prospects I fuck with too. Like, Peyton Talbot's an interesting guy. Steve Erceg's up there. I fuck with him. But I'm trying to think. I'd say Alex Pereira's up there, probably in my top 5. Charles Oliveira's up there for sure in my top 5. No, what did Peyton Talbot do to a vape? Let me go find. Come on here. Wait. There's a video. Oh my, there's a video of Peyton Talbot sticking a vape in his ass. Wait, I want to find it. I can't watch it on the stream, but you guys can get my reaction. Yo. Hold on, let me find this. Apologies for going off topic, but who do you think will win in Strickland? Find it to avoid it? Nah, man, find it to see what's up. You know, this might be the new way to get nicked out, you know? But let me see. Apologies for going off topic, but who do you think will win in Strickland Costa since it's the next pay-per-view? I am going to take Strickland. I like Costa a lot, but I'm going to take Strickland. Here's the thing. I don't think that Paulo Costa, he's this big, like, muscular guy, but I don't think he hits as hard as he should. What about the secret juice? See, that's the thing though, is what about the secret juice? Where are these Paulo Costa knockouts? Let me look at Paulo Costa. I'm gonna go with Strickland though. Costa isn't in it anymore. Yeah, I think Paulo Costa is more. I think Costa's more in it for being marketable, but let's see. The last person that Paulo Costa TKO'd or KO'd with punches was 6 years ago, Uriah Hall. And then before that, Johnny Hendricks in 2017. Johnny Hendricks is basically a welterweight. Uriah Hall in 2018. And then since then, decision win Yoel Romero, and then lost to Adesanya, lost to Vettori after missing weight. Didn't even knock out Luke Rockhold, who's fucking chinny as hell. So I think Paulo Costa might win like the first round, but I think it's a 5-round fight, so I think Strickland's gonna win like 4 rounds to 1. I mean, here's the thing though. I know that Costa's marketable, but so is Strickland. I don't necessarily love Sean Strickland. Not my favorite guy in the world, to be honest, but he's definitely marketable too. But I'm surprised that they even made that matchup. It makes me think that the UFC doesn't want Sean Strickland in the title picture. It makes me think that they want him to lose to somebody to build them towards a title shot. But anyways, find it to avoid it. Hold on, here we go. Let me make sure. You guys can get my live reaction to Peyton Tell. Find it to avoid it. Sorry, that's what I meant. Dog walked the dog bender. I'll forever love him for that performance. Yeah, man, not gonna lie. Fuck Izzy. Dude is a fucking weirdo. And he gets unlimited title shots from the UFC. I don't like the unlimited title shots for Izzy, especially like you get dog walked by Sean Strickland, who took the fight on like 6 weeks notice after beating an unranked guy in Abus Magomedov, and then you sit out for almost a year and get a title shot against DDP. Like, I understand the story and shit, you know, but still, I don't think it's deserving. Looks like the Peyton Talbot video has been wiped, guys. That's wild, though. I had never heard about this. But anyways, yeah, I looked for it. Call me sus if you want, but I couldn't find it. Yeah, the secret juice, though. If somebody gets KO'd in that fight, I'll be surprised, though, because Strickland's got a chin. Paulo Costa hasn't knocked somebody out with his hands in 6 years. And Sean Strickland's got pillow hands, too. So if he knocks out Paulo Costa, I'll be shocked. Yeah, he is weird. The anime kids are weird. Are the anime people a little bit of a red flag? I'm just saying, guys. There's a few anime fans type guys that train at my gym, and they're even if they're not gay about it, they seem like horny about it when they talk about they seem like horny about it when they talk about anime. They're like, "Oh, bro, One Piece," and I'm like, "It is." Yes, Yes, Eben, I do train. I I played college baseball, and then after that, I got into MMA. I've been training for about 3 years. I've been training for about 3 years. I'm 25. I started training when I was like 22. Yeah, they do. They do get horny talking about anime. But yes, I trained. I had a couple of Muay Thai fights, and then I've probably had about like 8 or 10 jiu-jitsu matches. And then it was just too much for me. I was, working a 9 to 5 job and training from like 6 p.m. to like 11 p.m. every night, and then training on Saturdays too. And after having my, when I first started training, I was like straight to the top, gonna be UFC champ. I appreciate you subbing, man. You're trying to work on a project analyzing some MMA data, and I need someone who's had experience but isn't some big shot. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, no, I fought as an amateur. I fought in amateur Muay Thai, and I competed in jiu-jitsu quite a few times. And then, yeah, just training and working a full-time job. I got super burnt out. And, when I first started training, I was like, yep, I'm going to be UFC champ. I was like drawing it out in my head. I was like, I'm 22. Train for a few years. I could get to LFA in like 5 years, be in the UFC when I'm like 30 type shit. And then like the more you get into it, you just realize that sometimes shit's not for you. I mean, like from a commitment standpoint, it was there for me, but when you start considering the long-term health consequences of fighting consistently, cutting weight. I mean, like I'm 6'5", and I was walking around at I walk around at like 230-ish, and I was cutting down to 205 for the most part. I cut down to 204 for a jiu-jitsu tournament once, but I was cutting down to like 205 for competitions, and I was getting sick. Like I felt weak. I was catching colds and stuff super easily. And, because I didn't think that I had the frame for heavyweight. So I was cutting down, and, the cutting weight, getting hit in the head, all that stuff's not good for you in the long run. And to be honest, I had a couple of teammates that were actually like career fighters. One of them was in the UFC, and he got, I won't go too much into the details, but, if you consider the UFC pay, like if you just look at it online, getting knocked out on ESPN, 12-12 contract, something like that, and you fight 3 times a year, 10% goes to your manager, 5% to your nutritionist, 10% to your gym, and then you got to pay taxes. Like you're living like below the poverty line to fight for a living. And like I live in California, man, like it's not cheap to live here. I'll tell you, once this YouTube shit works out, I'm moving out of California. Fuck these taxes. But, okay, I have some questions on how much it costs to train and compete. How much does it cost for training? How is payment to coaches after the fight? Okay, so I was an amateur fighter, so I never made any money fighting. Oh yeah, here I got you. So how much it costs to train? I'd say like on average at a gym, it would be, some gyms are $150 a month, some gyms are $250, but I'd say anywhere from $150 to $250 a month to be a member at a gym. And like my gym's like $180, something like that for unlimited classes. And then so then like the breakdown, it's different for everybody, but typically you'll get your fight pay. And most of the time, it's 10% to your gym/coaches, 5% to like a nutritionist, or you have a set fee that goes to them. They'll like charge you they'll be like, this is how much it'll cost, regardless of what you make. So that depends on the nutritionist. Manager is more than likely going to be 10%. That's probably your biggest waste of money. Most people don't need a manager. And like, even like, for example, I had a guy that was a matchmaker. He trained at my gym He was a matchmaker for local promotions, and he was like something of my manager for the time that I fought. And his agreement was, I'll do it for free while you're an amateur and on the regional scenes, and then eventually, once I get you to a big promotion, that would be like Bellator, PFL, UFC, we'll talk about 10% of your contract being 10% of your fight paid. But as like a, but I never got to that. I stopped fighting far before that. So the general way you could think of it is fight pay. You're gonna have 10% to your gym, about 10% to your manager, about somewhere about 5% to your nutritionist. Some guys have a strength and conditioning coach that they pay a monthly fee to or per session. And then on top of that, you have the taxes that you got to pay. So I'd say from when you get paid, 10% gym, 10% manager, 5% nutritionist, and some other stuff, like 30 to 35% of your check is out the door before you pay taxes or pay your rent, anything like that. So that's why fighting's so hard for most guys, is they have to live like such a shitty lifestyle. And, you know, guys will get nutritionist sponsors or meal plan sponsors and stuff, but typically what you see a guy get paid, when you see guys get paid, 70% of that is what they're taking home, and that's before taxes, because they're self-employed, so they got to pay taxes at the end of the year. And then I see, can you negotiate prices down in the beginning, or will there be problems? Yeah, I'm sure everything's negotiable to a certain degree. Obviously, gym, like especially with your coaches, like for example, at my gym, the 2 out of the 3 coaches I had were former UFC fighters. They know what it's like to be a fighter. You don't make much money. They're not like totally screwing guys on, they're not saying like, fork it over, buddy. There's conversations that can be had. People have bills and stuff too. And to be honest, unless it's like an American Top Team, like for example, American Top Team has tons of pro fighters and they have investors, they only take 1% of their fighters' pay. But for the most part, not these type of gyms like American Top Team or Kill Cliff FC, places like that, those places make their money on investors and sponsors and their fighters, like 1 to 2% or something of their fighters' pay. But most gyms, smaller gyms that are not these super teams, they make their money on regular people that sign up and go to jiu-jitsu, kickboxing classes, Muay Thai, wrestling classes, whatever it is. Most gyms are not making ends meet based on the percentage they get from the few pro fighters they have. The vast majority of them are keeping the lights on, paying their monthly rent off of the regular people that don't compete, that are just like going to classes, you know, people that work a day job and do jiu-jitsu at night and stuff like that. That's the vast majority of gyms are paying the bills through like regular people taking class. I'm probably going to get off in about 5 minutes, guys. So if you got any other questions, feed them to me. I'll answer as many as I can before you get off, or before I get off. I do want to answer as many questions as I can, guys. If you have anything else, go for it. If you also, obviously the channel's not that big right now, but if you want to join memberships, there's members live streams as well. That's a much more intimate setting. There'll be less people on the live stream as well. Quick run through UFC 302 predictions. Okay. Yeah, I got you, man. Let me pull up the card. Okay, you know what? Okay, I'll answer your questions real quick. Let me get 302 pulled up. You guys are about to keep me on stream. You guys have already got me on stream way longer than I thought I was going to be. I was thinking like an hour today, but I appreciate you guys participating in the chat. That's the type of thing that makes me motivated to to be a part of this and stream more often. I really appreciate this, guys. So the chat makes it happen, you know what I'm saying? But really, I appreciate you guys participating in the chat. I see there's 5 of you guys watching right now. I appreciate all of you guys. The channel's pretty small right now, but we are on our way, boy. Lucas Tracy, MMA Guru, look out. But okay. First question for you, Ebit. What's the bare minimum a fighter can start out to get? Like maybe only pay for coaching without a nutritionist, manager, stuff like that. Okay, that's a lot more feasible, okay? For example, when you're an amateur fighter, first starting out, somewhere between $150 and $250 for a monthly gym membership, train 2 or 3 times a day, that type of thing. Like my gym membership's like $180 for unlimited classes. And I probably go 3 or 4 days a week at this point. But when I was competing, it was like 6 days a week. And so bare minimum for a fighter starting out, $150 to $200 a month on a gym membership. Yeah, of course, even go ahead and DM me on IG. I got you. Yeah, $150 to $250 a month about. Manager, don't even worry about that shit right now. Just your coach will match make for you if you're an amateur fighter, a low-level fighter. Nutritionist, honestly, you can get away with doing that yourself. Literally, MyFitnessPal on your phone and track your calories and do some sort of meal planning. Strength stuff, same thing. Get a 24-hour fitness membership. Get a fitness plan online or make it yourself. Realistically, you could start out trying to be a fighter, $150 to $200 a month on the gym membership, whatever your groceries would cost, just meal prep for yourself, and get a 24-hour fitness membership. That's like $40 a month. Like you could do it for $200 a month plus groceries, honestly. And yeah, of course, man, I'll respond to you on IG. And then Kyle, let me get you 302 predictions. I'll make a full video. Some of these picks might change as time goes on, but I got you. Here we go. So Islam versus Poirier. As of right now, my heart wants Poirier to win by guillotine, but I think it's going to be Islam is going to win. So I got Islam in the main event. Co-main event, Strickland versus Costa. I'm going to take Sean Strickland. How often do you go live? Listening to your live was a good distraction. I've been going live like once a week, usually just on Saturdays or Sundays. But to be honest, man, I'll go live more often. That's the goal. Like I put out 4 or 5 videos a week usually, and then I'm trying to go live like 2 or 3 times a week. But just look on the community tab, turn on my notifications. I'm trying to go live as often as possible. Yeah, so like it's probably gonna be like 3 times a week going forward. Especially this is the most engagement I've gotten on a live stream before. So you guys have kept me really fired up about this, and so this makes me want to do it a lot more often. But I'd say my schedule right now on going live is Saturday before the fights, Sunday react to the fights, and then one other time during the week. That's typically what I'll try to do. As I start to make money off this YouTube stuff, and eventually I won't have a day job, hopefully, then I'll be going live, hopefully every day. But yeah, and also if you have other stuff that you want to like, if you want to watch some of my other stuff, you can look in the description of this live. I have a podcast, it's a non-MMA podcast. It's like a weekly podcast with me and my girlfriend called the Hissyfit podcast. Mostly comedy stuff, internet type stuff. And then I haven't started posting videos on it yet, but I also have a like reaction channel that I'm going to do called Wyatt's World. Those are both in the description down below. But if you want some podcast stuff to listen to or watch, go check out the Hissyfit podcast. That's in my description down below. And then lives I'll start doing a lot more. If you want to keep it MMA and stay on this channel, that's cool too. I'll start doing that a lot more. Kyle, I didn't forget about you. Still with these 302 predictions. I got Islam over Poirier, Strickland over Costa, Almeida over Romanov. That's going to be a fucking boring fight. Kopylov over Almeida, Randy Brown beating Zaleski dos Santos, Tatsuro Taira, and Josh Van. I fucking hate that they paired up these prospects so early in their careers, but I'm going to take Tatsuro Taira. Andre Lima and Nyam Jargal Tumen Dember. That's a crazy ass name, but I don't have a pick for that one. I'll have to do some research. I'm going to pick Alex Morono against Nico Price. And then it was supposed to be Roman Dolidze and Fluffy Hernandez, but Hernandez pulled out. Eileen Perez and Jocelyn Anders. I'll probably go Perez on that one. Grant Dawson, Joe Selecki. Probably going to go Dawson on that one. Philip Rowe, Jake Matthews. I'm going to take Jake Matthews. And Mickey Gall, Basil Hafez. I'm going to take Basil Hafez, because Mickey Gall's not active and Basil Hafez gave Jack Della Maddalena. Right? And yeah, Tyra versus Van is way too soon, but I could see them rematching sometime in the future for a title. You know, those guys are huge. So, alrighty guys, I'm going to hop off. Been awesome. This has been awesome, guys. This is by far the most engagement I've gotten on a live stream. I super appreciate all you guys for tuning in. For real. Sub to the channel. Check out my podcast, the Hissyfit podcast, if you want some non-MMA content. And, you know, as the channel begins to grow, I'll remember you guys, because you guys are engaging while no one else is watching. I got 4 of you guys watching, and you guys are all commenting. This is fucking sick. All right? Thank you so much. This has been the funnest live that I've had so far. You guys are awesome. And yeah, I'll try to go live possibly tomorrow, but if not, then I'll go live on Thursday. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Keep tuning in. If you want to support the channel in any way, you can join memberships. If you want to check out my podcast, do that as well. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am going to eat some pizza. And that's that. I'm going to play some UFC 5 after that too. So thank you guys. I will see you on the next live, Monday or Thursday. Thank you so much, guys. You guys are the best. I will see you guys next time.